Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see it. And today we got one kind of show for you guys that you guys are just absolutely not going to even believe. But before we even get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And today we're going to be talking about that damn Ben Simmons. Nah, I'm just joking. I'm just joking with you guys. I'm joking with you. But anyway, let's get into this topic here. So this morning, I was doing some research, and I came across an article from fadeawayworld.net that absolutely floored me. It absolutely floored me. Why? Because this particular article was centered on Shaq. And I was like, okay, there goes Shaq. There goes my man Shaq. But then, as I'm reading further into the article, it then starts to say some things that Shaq was saying about his predictions. And then ultimately, he brought up Ben Simmons. Now, for the people that have followed this channel, y'all know how I feel about Ben Simmons. I have said for the past few years now that Ben Simmons is one of the biggest time wasters in the NBA. He's wasting everyone's time. And a lot of people have agreed with me, and some people have disagreed with me. Whenever I said that, I was basing it off of what I was seeing. Not because I have any personal agenda, because I don't. Because a few years ago, I actually thought, and I pushed for Ben, like as if I have a vote. I don't have a vote, but I thought, and I would have liked to see Ben Simmons actually win the Defensive Player of the Year award when he was with Philly. Didn't happen. But we all knew that Ben Simmons was a very talented player. He was being compared to LeBron. And if it just think about this for a second. Imagine an NBA player being compared to LeBron James. That's the type of comparisons that Ben Simmons was getting, right? When he came into the NBA. But then I started to study him, study his habits, and I began to discover that Ben Simmons was someone that was not interested in improving his basketball game. He simply was not interested in improving as an NBA player. And some of his supporters were trying to make excuses for him and baby him. And then I would pull up other players that came into the NBA, very young like Ben Simmons, and you could see the improvement year over year. Players like Ja Morant, players like Giannis Antetokounmpo, players like Paul George, players like Pascal Siakam, players like Luka Doncic. So many young players that came into the NBA with a lot of talent and a lot of hype that went to work on their skills, and you could see them progressively getting better year after year. But in the case of Ben Simmons, we never saw this. He got to a certain point, an all-star level defensive, all NBA defensive type of player, defensive player of the year caliber type of player, but then he plateaued and then he started to regress. And I started to point that out, and then some people started taking exception to that, which I don't care because I'm giving you guys my opinion. But then I came across this article this morning that absolutely floored me by some of the things I heard Shaq saying and some of the predictions that he made. So we actually want to play what Shaq said because you're going to be absolutely astonished by what Shaq said. But before we even get into that, this video is brought to you by our brand new sponsor, Factor Meals. If you're like me or anybody that works at Dreamerspro, chances are you're a very, very busy person, especially during the lunchtime when you don't have time to go to the grocery store, pick out fresh ingredients, and come back home and cook healthy, delicious meals. Sometimes we're so busy that you just end up finding yourself making a ham sandwich or something like that, which isn't really ideal. And this is the reason why we are excited to be partnering with Factor Meals. Factor Meals is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. You can choose from up to 35 gourmet meals. Every meal is packed with premium ingredients, crafted by Factor Meals' team of culinary experts and designed by dietitians to ensure that every meal is packed with premium science-backed nutritional quality. Your meals are delivered directly to your door, and all you need to do is heat them up in just under 2 minutes. Then they are ready for you to eat and enjoy. So for example, this week, I think I'm gonna go with the Italian herb chicken. What I love is that under every single meal, you can see if it's a calorie conscious option. For example, this meal I just chose is the dietitian approved calorie smart meal, which is around 550 calories or less per serving, and also a protein plus meal with 30 grams of protein or more per serving. So if you want to give it a try, click the link in the description below or head over to factormeals.com/dreamers50 and use code dreamers50 to get 50% off. And remember, when you try Factor Meals by using the link in the description below, remember that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So let me get into, so what we want to do is actually want to play what Shaq said. It's a short video, about a minute or so. And I want you guys to take a listen to some of the predictions that Shaq made, and then we're going to come back and continue on with the show. Take a listen to what Shaq had to say there.
My MVP next year is going to be Nikola Jokic. Rookie of the Year, Victor Wembanyama. Most improved player is going to be Ben Simmons. Champions, Dallas Mavericks.
So you heard what Shaq said. He believes that Ben Simmons is going to end up being the most improved player of the year. Let me tell you why this is significant. The reason Shaq's comments are significant is because Shaq was one of those people that was actually calling out Ben Simmons. I believe both of them have the same alma mater in UCLA. And Shaq was one of the guys on television calling out Ben Simmons and basically saying you're not playing good enough and you're not improving. And at a certain point, I guess Ben Simmons didn't like that. And then I guess him and Shaq had a conversation because Shaq said that. And then he said he was going to lay off of him. But then he saw that Ben Simmons really wasn't improving. And he went back to his old position. Now, the question then becomes, why the change of heart? Why the change of heart? And I can tell you why. If you look at Ben Simmons historically, let's just look at him last year. Obviously, he dealt with an injury. But if you look at Ben Simmons the last 2 years or so, he seemed very tentative when he was playing. He didn't really show that aggression, and he showed this unwillingness to take jump shots and really try new things that he works on in the offseason in NBA games. That was one of the things people were knocking him for. So this particular preseason, Ben Simmons has been basically saying, I'm coming back. I feel great. I'm ready to get back to my all-star, form and all of that stuff. But people have heard this before. So a lot of people were skeptical. I'm getting to the point where I think Shaq had a change of heart. Then you start watching him. And as someone that has been critical of Ben Simmons, I've been paying close attention, not close, but I've been watching him. And he seems to have a totally different demeanor. When he's playing, he seems a lot more assertive. He seems more aggressive. He's playing with a level of confidence that I haven't seen him play with in quite some time. And he seems to be mentally engaged into this season. Now, if you look at his preseason stats, and I'm not ready to shout about his preseason stats, but his preseason stats this year, he's scoring, 8 points per game, shooting 58% from the field. He is shooting 40% from the free throw line, but it's not a lot. I mean, these are preseason games. But he is getting you 4.3 rebounds and 7 assists per game and 1.7 steals. Now, to me, in order for him to win the most improved player of the year, I think these are the numbers we're going to need to see from Ben Simmons. We're going to need to see Ben Simmons score around 15 points per game, shooting above 50% from the field. I don't care about his threes because he's never going to shoot threes. I think he needs to shoot at least 70% from the free throw line. At least 70%. Not 40% or 44% that he shot last year. That's ridiculous. He needs to shoot at least 65 to 70% from the free throw line. He needs to get you around 7 to 8 rebounds a game. His assists need to go up to around 7 to 8 assists per game. His steals need to be there. And most importantly, his play needs to contribute to W's. They need to contribute to W's. Now, some people say, isn't that asking a lot? Ben Simmons averaged more early on in his career. And last year, if you go from averaging all of those, if you average all of those points that I just mentioned to you guys, coming from averaging 6.9 points per game last year, shooting 0% from the three, 43.9% from the free throw line, while getting you 6.3 rebounds and 6 assists per game, then you can say that this guy really improved. Then you can say that. So for Shaq to say that shows you that he's seeing something. And I've noticed it too. Now it's time to put up or shut up, because now we got to see it. And that goes for everybody. So if you're going to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. That goes for everybody. And if there are people saying, I don't believe you, let me see it, they have that right to say that. People don't have to believe in you just because you said it and you haven't done it yet. You got to go prove them wrong. If you're like, you're going to do this thing, then do it. When you do it, then you can tell people to shut up. And if Ben Simmons really it has an improvement this year, I'm gonna acknowledge it, and I'm waiting to see. These are my thoughts. So what I want to know from you guys is simply this: do you agree with Shaq with some of the predictions that he made for this upcoming season? Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comments, and we catch you on the next show. Peace.